Welcome to Courageous Creative Conquerors. I'm your host, Jean Voice Dart, expressive arts psychotherapist, credentialed teacher, and coach. It's my belief that we are all courageously creative and destined to navigate our way through life, learning how to feel, reveal, and heal. And we do this safely and effectively through the expressive arts. Hi, everyone. Jean Voice Dart here with Courageous Creative Conquerors. And I have my special guest, Scott Holmes, intuitive quantum practitioner. He's going to tell us what the heck that means, all of that. And we're going to be talking about creativity and energy work. So I'm very excited to have you here, Scott. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into what you're doing?
Thank you, Jane. It's a pleasure to be here. Back about 8 years ago, after my wife passed, I was sitting there alone with the cat. And by the way, cats don't really like long conversations generally. And wondering who and what I was, who I was going to be. All my married life, I had kids, I had a full house, I had dogs, cats, everything one was running around. And now my daughters had lives of their own, they had families of their own, and it was just me. So I had to find out who I was. That's where this journey for me began. Someone suggested I start Reiki. I'm like, oh, well, okay. Uh, by the way, since then have found that Reiki is the gateway drug through all the modalities, right? That everybody does. They start with Reiki because it's the simplest, easiest energy work. And they said, well, before you do anything else, you're going to have to do 60 days of self Reiki. I'm like, self Reiki. Okay. All right. That was 8 years ago, and every day I do self Reiki still. It's what helps ground me. From Reiki, I went to Reiki 2, went to the Reiki Master, Reiki Master teacher. I did polarity therapy. I did Rise, which is each step for me was the next step in finding my work, in finding the new realm, in finding a higher vibration of energy. And it was intoxicating because I was finding parts of myself that I did not know existed. I did not know any of these things existed. So, of course, whenever you learn something new, I don't know about you, but I want to share it with everybody. People walking down the street, and I'd look at them and go, I know I can help that person. The funny thing about that is that people don't really want to be fixed.
Yeah,
Not without asking anyway.
unless they
So
ask,
unless they ask, they really do have to ask. And so uh, I tempered a bit of that, but I found that most of it is about inward. For me, doing all those modalities was that healing journey within. I've traveled to Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. I have traveled throughout
Wow.
Europe, Greece, Peru, India, and all of these travels have been about the shamanic aspect of it. I love history. I wanted to be a history teacher growing up. And I get to travel to all these places with people I respect that I've met through writing with Brave Healer and Laura DeFranco. And it has been absolutely amazing on the journey. And in each place, I've learned something more about me. Even though I went to learn about them, I learned more about me, about what was deep inside of me. And that is the fun part. That is the curiosity. I'm a big believer in curiosity. I'm a big believer in joy and finding that part of you where your joy resides. And I know that your work is all about finding that joy within. When you were 6 years old, I've never met a 6 year old who was not a singer, a dancer, or an artist, ever. That somehow gets conditioned out of us as we get older. We can't do it so well, so we don't do it, but we're embarrassed, all of those things. But when I was 18, I wanted to teach, and I was going to go to college for teaching. I wanted to write because I was writing poetry, and I had that love of the language. And I think that writing is alchemy, taking a pencil and a paper, and from that, creating emotions, creating feelings. It was amazing to be able to do that, and also to be able to travel. Well, life got in the way. I got married, had three children by the time I was 25. So at that time, I had three jobs, three kids, didn't know which end was up, and was really trying to make my way through just about everything. And so at 68 years old, I'm living my best 18-year-old life now. I'm doing those things I wanted to do when I was 18. So I figured it this way. If I have a contract to live to be 100. So 68 is my second chance at 18-year-old self.
That's
And
a
I
good
am
way to
enjoying
look at it. Yeah.
and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I really am.
Yeah. That's great. So, how would you distinguish between, you mentioned the expressive arts, creativity, dance, music, writing? You mentioned you're a writer, poet. What is the distinction between vibrational or expressive arts, healings, and energetic work? Or are they the same, or do they cross over, and are they different? And how would you explain that?
It's a funny thing in dealing with clients that I work with. I often ask them, what brings you joy? What really brings you joy? And a lot of people have lost that aspect in their life because they're so in the grind with kids, with houses, with families, with bills, with everything else. And I ask them, what part of you, what creative part of you are you missing? Do you crochet? Do do you bowl? Do you, whatever it is, but do you do something outside the ordinary that brings you joy? And I found that unless and until they get to a certain point, a certain vibrational level, they can't find that joy in themselves. Chicken and the egg, is it because they do it that they find joy, or they found the joy and that's why they do it? I think it's so interwoven into who we are. I have yet to find anybody who doesn't want to have a creative outlet, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. If it's painting rocks, if it's um, walking in the woods, getting pine cones and spray painting them, making gathering flowers and putting them in a vase. Even those simple creative aspects changes everything. It brings
Yes,
that joy.
I agree. I think, we were born to create something, whatever it is. And through that creative action, we are fulfilled, and we can release tension, we can express feelings, we create, and we feel confident, and we feel valuable. We've accomplished something. And
There's
so,
value in all of that.
yeah, it's beautiful. So I have this sign behind me,
Yeah, a
courageous,
gorgeous sign behind you. Yes.
courageous creative conquerors. And so I always ask everyone, have you been courageously creative? Oftentimes we get life challenges thrown at us, and all of a sudden we're not feeling that great. We're not feeling that happiness and joy, as you mentioned. And we have to get ourselves out of that, or just embrace and go through that situation. um, and so how have you been courageously creative and conquered what life throws at you?
So I had written in a number of books with Laura DeFalco and in collaborations. And last February, just over a year ago, I had a heart attack out of the blue, no warnings. Um, I got up to go to bed, and it felt like there was an alien trying to come out of my chest. And 60 days later, I'm there. Everything's repaired, everything's fine. And Laura then asked me to lead a book. Now, I had no inclination whatsoever of doing that. It's a lot of work. You've done that, and you know how much work that is. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't really want to do that. But then I thought it through, and I wanted to have something that it was a legacy. I wanted to have something that really could inspire other people. I think in the writing, for me, it's about reaching out and touching people through words and feelings and letting them know they're not alone. And so my misgivings, um, the heart attack really kind of gave me an extra level of yes. I am saying yes to an awful lot of things.
Mhm.
I'm going, and it's through that creative process of crafting the book, of interviewing the authors, of reading them, of helping them edit their pieces, of understanding the process they're going through. Wow, it just ripped my heart open. And the stories I learned, the aspects of other people I learned was just phenomenal. And I would not have traded that whole experience for anything.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I understand that. You're talking about being a lead author and helping, inviting other authors to come in and collaborate with you.
Yeah.
And just the interviewing of the different people, and some of them you might not know that well. You're just kind of starting to get to know them and discovering, learning, receiving all that they've experienced, and you're coming together and just creating this beautiful project. So tell us a little bit more about that before we stop here.
It's called From Burnout to Burning Bright. And it's about prevention, healing, recovery from that low point and low aspect in everybody's life that I and a lot of the authors, more than half of them said to me, this is the hardest piece I've ever written. Because I asked them to dive into the worst possible point in their lives and to be able to tell the story and be able to share how they got out of it. And that's very difficult for a lot of people. There was a lot of things they had to go through.
Let's talk about that for a minute. We're talking about the power of writing. And, you mentioned that you had this passion to help others in this project. You really wanted to create a book that helps others, that's a self-help book. But also there's that other thing that you just mentioned. Two things, it's helping others by getting that book out, but it's also helping ourselves in that process of writing. And it's just so amazing for me. I've written, published, helped others publish or illustrated or fermented over 18 books now. And each
Beautiful.
time in doing that, when I'm participating, whether it's illustrating or writing the chapters or leading the book, I just go through such a catharsis. And it's another letting go of another layer that I thought I'd already been there. I've already worked with this.
Oh,
What
how many
happened?
times
Well,
does that happen?
I'm writing about
Absolutely.
it again, and it's a different spin on it, and it goes deeper, and it's coming out in a different way. So let's talk about that for a moment. What is that process that you just mentioned, and why is that important for you, as well as just getting the book out to others? There's that journey.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like the process of reading Alice in Wonderland. The story never changes. You read Alice as a 6-year-old, as a 10-year-old, as a 16-year-old, as a 26-year-old. Each time you read it, it's from a different perspective. So each time you tell your story, there is a different twist on it. There's a different perspective on it. And it really helps you see things that were in a very different light. And I absolutely love that. Every piece that I have written has changed me.
I am trying each time I write to push myself and do something different. Like I've written a cozy mystery, I've written children's books, I'm trying to get out of the box and do something that I've not done. You write poetry, we both do poetry, so or partnering up with someone who's doing some other kind of a thing. Oh, well, I
Right.
think I can do that. That sounds interesting. And, I read somewhere that the definition of humility is remaining teachable. So just always just being hungry for that learning experience and pushing that envelope and inviting something new, something different, learning from others. But
You have never lost your inner child, that joy that
yeah,
comes with learning, with pushing the boundary, because all those boundaries we have are self-imposed.
yeah.
As children, we never think of we have any boundaries. Oh my goodness, no. I'm going to write. I'm going to create a novel. I'm going to write a story. I'm going to write poetry. I'm going to dance. I'm going to sing, and I'm really good at it.
Well, I'm looking at the clock and seeing that our time is ending here, and I want you to just share a quick tip for people out there. They might be struggling. Life just throws us a lot of unexpected twists and turns and challenges. And so, wherever they are, if they're sitting on the bus or they're out walking in nature, listening to us right now, or at home in their bed, is there something that anybody anywhere can do to uplift and shift and find their way back to that joy? What would you suggest?
Absolutely. Anytime you're feeling anxious, if your shoulders are up by your ears, it's what I call a four block, and it's fairly common and called a number of different things, but it's called a four block, and that is just breathing in till the count of four, and in your mind you're counting, holding it through four, releasing for four, holding it for four, breathe in for four, hold it for four, release for four. And we do that four times. And it takes all of about half a minute to be able to do that four times. You can do it anytime. You can do it with your eyes open or eyes closed, but it just settles everything right in.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, all of you, for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Courageous Creative Conquerors. Bye bye.
Thank you.